1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4, and you will be applying for all the companies. So specifically for the company. So you're interested in working in the companies like TRANSOCEAN and ITC and Rio Tinto. Okay, so since I'm placed at ITC, so I would start with ITC. So ITC is ITC. It's no longer Indian Tobacco Limited. So it's a profile. It's a managerial profile. First of all, if some of you think that it's a completely technical profile, then you're wrong. It's a managerial profile with a hint of technical touch in it, because you will be managing a factory or a plant site location. So you will be associated with your mechanical engineering quite a lot during the job, but still you will be just a manager. You're not working in a completely technical profile. TRANSOCEAN is similar. It's also a managerial profile. The work required there is to collaborate and coordinate the work of different technicians. It's an offshore drilling company, so it's an offshore job. So there's a mix of sometimes you're placed onshore, sometimes you're placed offshore. So talking about the process of each of these companies, it's quite similar. First of all, you have to submit CV. TRANSOCEAN, it's just the CV, and in ITC there was a form along with, in which it's a form which most of you might have filled that. The same form is there for training as well. So once that form is filled, then a shortlist comes out. Approximately 120 people were shortlisted.
Exactly
120 people were shortlisted in ITC. So there were group discussions after that on 30th November. And for TRANSOCEAN, around I think 70 people were shortlisted. 70 people were shortlisted, and there was group discussion on the 30th of November. So this year on 30th of November, you will be facing a lot of group discussions based on if you are shortlisted or not. So group discussions for both of them are different. In TRANSOCEAN, what happened was we were given a current issue, and we were asked, for example, some of us were asked to rate what are the, you have to discuss and come out with a conclusion, a 15-minute group discussion in which there were two supervisors who were looking after each moves of each and every one of us. And we were given a topic on current issues, as in what do you think are the next 5 big problems that India will face, and what are the most crucial things that we have to take care. And in ITC it's completely different. In ITC it's more of a behavioral group discussion. So there you are expected to come to a conclusion about, you are given a situation, say there is a plane crash and these are list of 20 objects, so prioritize among them. That which one would you want to take with you? Which one is are most critical? So that is the way it was. In ITC it was, sometimes it was a plane crash, sometimes it was you're stranded on an island, sometime, and it's the similar stuff. Then there was, there is a village and you have to decide what should be their source of electricity for the next few years, and you have been given 5 different ministers who propose different mechanisms. I think most of you must have faced that. There was nuclear energy, thermal energy, and you had to choose which one will you elect as your minister, and you had to weigh out all the pros and cons. So the group discussion funda basically, which is persistent, is that for any group discussion, try to speak elegantly, try to be a part of conversation, don't try to dominate, don't try to barge into a conversation in which you are not part of. Keep your point, and even if you put one point in an entire discussion which gave direction to the discussion, that is enough. You should not again and again go on and keep on trying to say something which you are not even sure of. So in that case, make your contribution, not just say, make your contribution in terms of ideas, not words. So even if you say less but you contribute to the discussion in general, you provide direction. There might be cases in which you are not very well versed with the topic at hand, say some current issue which you are not directed at, and you sense that people are drifting apart from the topic. So you can act as a moderator, you can basically direct the discussion, you can act, say we are drifting apart from this topic, let's divide this topic into some few subtopics and let's manage our time. So basically that shows your managerial skills. So once group discussion is done, after group discussion in ITC there was directly, we were called for another round of interview. In TRANSOCEAN it was different. In TRANSOCEAN we had a hour-long group activity. People were shortlisted. I think from each group 1 or 2 people were shortlisted. In all, around 15 were shortlisted, right, Simantha? To the next round of group activity.
TRANSOCEAN.
15 were shortlisted to the next round of group activities. So they were divided into 2 groups. and the group activity lasted very long. And it's actually a place where I think that they judge you. That is a place in which you are given a whiteboard, you are closed in a room, and in my case, the topic given to me, again, I was lucky that, I was not exactly lucky, but the topic that was being asked at ITC, that there is a plane crash and you have to prioritize between this. So a little more elaborated but similar topic was given in TRANSOCEAN, that is, you have had a plane crash in some African specific country, and you have some items like a book on knowledge of herbal leaves of that area, then fire and all things to create fire, a plastic sheet, some very trivial objects which you have to categorize. So how we went about that is, it was pretty innovative, that we decided that we'll divide them into 3 parts. Say there is a top area that, okay, this is completely required. I think this is the way you should go about in topics like this. There is one area that, okay, this thing is completely critical. Say there is some food item or some medical box, and you start on topics by placing them into these 3 groups. There is a gray zone where you say that, okay, we might take this and we might not take this depending on what other things we are carrying. There is a completely no zone. Okay, we don't require a box of chocolates in Ireland. Why do you want why do you want chocolate there? And there are some things like a knife. A Swiss knife is important because it can be used for so many things, for cutting the flesh of animals you want to eat, for cutting the plants, for freeing yourself if you are stuck somewhere. So try dividing it into 3 zones, and between those 3 zones try prioritizing and try to reach a conclusion. In our case, we were unable to reach a conclusion, so he gave us more time. So that's why our group discussion lasted for more than an hour. And after that, what happened was, he was not very happy with our group discussion, but I say that because he was saying that the other group discussion was very well managed, and you picked up items which I think he personally thought was not necessary. So he asked each and everyone individually how your opinions differ from the group. So don't be very dejected at that point. No, this group wasn't listening to me. I was saying this. See, I told you. See, I told you. This attitude should not be there, because in the end your group is being judged. Your contribution power or your other abilities are judged, but you should not be very disheartened and dejected and try blaming your group for the bad performance. Because I say that because some people in my group did that and they were criticized for that. So don't ever try to do that no, they didn't take my point, I always said this. So that's it about TRANSOCEAN. In ITC, in the second round of interview, be prepared to be asked on anything technical from your second year courses to your projects. Generally, I'm not saying that compulsorily, generally you're given an option that which is your favorite subject, and sometimes the interviewer might think, okay, this is your favorite subject, he'll ask which is your least favorite subject, and then you'll say something and then he'll ask you on that just to make you uncomfortable. It's quite a few times it's a stress interview, the technical round, and if you clear that, then the second round is much easier. So TRANSOCEAN, there's just one interview after the group activity. In ITC, after group discussion, how many were shortlisted? Around 30. 30 were shortlisted. So in that, people face different kind of questions. For me, I was asked my favorite subjects. I told them that my favorite subjects are mostly 4th and 5th years. So they didn't have much idea about that because they are from manufacturing and they were from thermal. So they asked me some general questions, the second year questions. They were pretty easy, I could answer them. Actually, they were very easy. I was lucky there. And then they they really grilled me on my projects. So they asked me to explain from in and out all the projects that I have done, not just one, all of them. And they asked technical questions on those projects. I had one industrial training at Tega Industries, so they completely asked about it, everything. After that, they asked about another robotics project that I had done. They asked about my BTP a lot. Then in the end, they also gave me a managerial question in technical round itself, which said that you have to set up, say I'm interested in robotics, so he said that if you want to set up a robotics factory, how you go about it. So I gave them a little bit of run up to it. I'll do some research, I'll do this, I'll ask for some experts on this area. The general, you should try and give a smart answer there. Don't just get confused. And people have had different experiences. Some people have faced stressed interviews in those rounds. Some people. So it really depends. But really be prepared with your technical stuff in that round. After that, in the third round, it was completely HR based. There was you are asked to face the head person that was there, the head of the team which is there. In our case, he was the CEO of that division. So he asked me very personal questions about what I want to do in my life, what he thinks that is wrong with manufacturing in India, why does he think that agriculture in India is lagging behind. Very personal and very, he was just expecting smart answers probably, or he wanted to know me. So that was it. It was very easy. Be free with him. In my case, it was so free that he told me कि यार तू भी पंजाबी हो, मैं भी पंजाबी हूँ. So I'll use abusive language, so don't mind. And he was using it. I don't want to quote it, but he was using it, and it was very comfortable. He was trying to make you comfortable. For him, he was speaking him in Bengali. For another guy, he was speaking him in that language. So he was a very nice guy, and he was really trying to get to know you. That what do you want to do in life? Do you really fit in ITC? Because I think that in ITC they look for people who are more. This have been told from some past recruits from campus as well, that they look for people in general who are more forthcoming with their with what they want to do, or more forthcoming, who really know that I want to do this and very passionate about some one thing. I have seen that trend generally, even in last year interns and all of that. They find people who are more forthcoming. Pujari would agree. And so that was it for ITC. I think 2 rounds of interview, 1 round of group discussion, before that a form. And in TRANSOCEAN, the final round is as far away from technical as possible. They'll not ask you anything technical. In Schlumberger as well, you had a session on Schlumberger, right? So in Schlumberger as well, nothing technical is asked. At max, if you touch some project which has some technical and manageable aspect, they might ask you to explain it a bit further, but they'll never dig into it. They'll never make you uncomfortable with technical stuff. For me, they just wanted to know about my histories. Since when I was born, what kind of friends I had, how much I traveled, which school I studied in. So TRANSOCEAN interview lasted for around more than an hour again, and it was mostly related to this. After 40 minutes or so, he started explaining to me that what are the different things that will be expected from me. And so it was a behavioral sort of interview, that you will be asked to switch places every 2 months. So will you be able to handle that? You might be fired after first year. Will you be able to handle that? Will we be able to handle that for 15 years? You won't have any promotion. So all these sort of HR questions. And they were just trying to test that maybe I win at some point or the other. I might have persisted, so they thought that it was good, but it's completely HR, technical at all. So that's all that I have to say. ITC and TRANSOCEAN.
Questions right now, or should I?
If you have any questions, you can ask about.
There is a column in the form which requires you to fill your GRE score or your GMAT score. So how does it actually matter? Should it not be very good for them to be sure of that you will not be leaving the company and going?
Basically, yeah. See, I forgot this point in ITC. That at ITC they take your form very seriously, very very seriously. So whatever you write, you should always. This applies for your CV as well. In your CV, every single sentence or every point you write, close your eyes and think about it for at least. You should be able to say something on that thing for 3-4 minutes. Otherwise, it's not worth writing in your CV. That's the standard funda. If you are unable to speak on something for 3 or 4 minutes, then it's not worth writing in your CV. So, if you think that you have scored very well in GMAT, and if they ask you why have you specified your GMAT score, will you be able to say for 3 minutes, okay, maybe I was applying to ISB program, that's why I gave GMAT, or maybe I had some extra dollars which I didn't want to convert, that's why I gave GMAT. If you have your reasons right, then it doesn't give any positive or negative influence. If you have written you have a GRE score of say 1200, I don't know about right now what's the system now, but 1200 is a bad score if it's not a very good score if you are writing it. So then you should not choose to write it.
It's not that I have an option, it's just there, it's a column there. Right? So if I have given GRE and if I do have the score, then
so they would want to hear why you gave GRE, are you applying? If you are applying, then why? They would want to know that.
So how do you convince them that you're not into bio studies and you're actually into their company?
Why do you have to convince that? If you want a job and then you want to apply for higher studies, that's it. What? You want a job before you get your acceptance from higher studies. So you can tell them that.
And that is fine with them.
I think it must be if you have scored very well, if you are good in academics, you can convince them that I have applied, but I'm not expecting something. I don't think you should lie in your interview at all. You can hide things, but if you really are looking that you have a consolidated job offer, you're not sure if you'll get accepted somewhere, then don't write your GRE score. Any other questions?
The first question, if they will ask you, suppose you're a high CG, you have a high CG, the first question they'll definitely ask you in any job interview is that why don't you at least in 3-4 interviews, why aren't you going for MS? So you have to defend that. Especially if you have an internship, if you have a technical internship or research internship, they'll definitely ask you. So you have to be prepared for that answer, for that question.
And
prepare that answer.
And ITC may keep in mind that CGPA matters a lot. So there's no point dreaming about it. You can try for it and dream about it. There have been exceptions, but the odds are against you if you are a 7.5 pointer and you want to go at ITC. So it's the right time. This time is the right time for increasing your CGPA.
If you guys have a CGPA of around say 7.9, so this is the last semester you can go, you can cross it. It helps a lot actually.
And it helps. See, in my entire form, the first thing that the person saw was my 6.96 GPA in third semester, and he had made a big red circle around it. So that thing was asked in my second round interview. Why did you have so much low CGPA? Then that was asked again in the second round interview. So that question is, your academics will always be on top. So expect answers to defend your bad academics or to defend your good academics. Both.
So I was asked in my interview, that why were you trying to push people to reach a conclusion? I was only trying to direct them towards the last few minutes because I thought I was told before the GD was the very first GD that I had faced. So I was told by my friends that if you do not reach a conclusion, the entire group, everybody is prone to be, catified. So how does it matter?
It depends on the supervisors a lot, but in general it's a good thing that if you have had a good discussion with everyone has or has not reached a consensus. Actually, it's very healthy if you don't reach a consensus very quickly. Because in our group, what happened was that the time limit is 10, and we had decided. You were in my group, no? ITC. You were in my group, no? So we had decided that we'll not try to cartofy each other a lot. So we'll reach a consensus very quickly. So basically, it was very weird that people were agreeing to things very quickly. And it became very difficult in the end because by the end of 6.5 minutes, we didn't know what to do anything else, what to do further. We had a final list of ministers. So after that, we were just consolidating it.
We had the same minister problem statement, but in that what happened is ours was for 30 minutes. And even after that, towards the end, people had second thoughts.
In my case as well, there was.
Trying to tell them that it's better if we reach a conclusion. I think this is okay.
See, group discussion is not about what you say not that much. They observe so many things. They observe that if you are saying unnecessarily, they observe if you are too pushy, if you are trying to push your opinions a lot. They observe your body language. They observe the reactions you make while you are not speaking. They observe if you are interested and into the group discussion. You see, you might have noticed that all the 3 or 4 supervisors of the CD were all circling around and seeing faces of each and everyone. Because in every GD, this is applicable in TRANSOCEAN as well. Both the HR people were circling around and they were actually trying to gauge that what that person, if you are really a very dull person, if you are just thinking and sitting with your pen and a discussion is going on and you are not even looking at the person who is saying and you are not even trying to come into the discussion, then there are chances that you will be not selected. So in general, you should be really active in the discussion. Even if you don't have much to say, try being an active.
They should have shortlisted me for the final interview, right?
Maybe they wanted to clarify it, or maybe it was just randomly it happened that the person who supervised your GD, he was the one taking your interview. Was that the case?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why you just wanted to know why did you do that. That's simple behavioral question. Expect those sort of questions in anything. Like it was generally they don't write those sorts of comments in their form that girl was too pushy by the end. It was just coincidence.
I don't think it's necessary to reach a consensus. It depends on your performance in the GD, the points you put forward, how interested you are. And the fresh points basically, not the points which have already been told, you just,
Basically, the best part is that if you can put ideas into discussion and not words, that's the best thing. Don't ever try repeating what's already has been discussed. Don't try to bring things up again. Try to put interesting ideas into the conversation.
4 or 5 fresh thoughts will be good enough.
You can direct them to the conclusion, but you cannot push them. Like you have to conclude and you have to agree with all the points.
It's not good to be too dominating as well in a GD. that basically goes against you.
Any more questions? So I have been selected in Rio Tinto. Rio Tinto is an international mining group which deals with the extraction of minerals from open pit and underground mines, and it also has operations related to refineries, and it main locations are in Australia and Canada. In India also there are 2 sites for the iron ore and diamond. So the selection process was in different phases. The first phase was you have to fill an online application form, and the deadline was around mid of October. There were 2-3 HR based questions like why do you want to join Rio Tinto, what qualities would you bring along with you to the Rio Tinto environment, and there was another question like have you managed multiple tasks and deadlines in any instance during your college life or sometimes in your life. So also a focus on teamwork and collaboration was put. They were major points, and you should present your qualities related to teamwork and collaboration in those answers. There was a word limit for all the questions, around 150 words or so, and you should fill your form very well, because in the next phase there is a telephonic interview, and most of the questions were from those of the form that you filled in the first phase. That telephonic interview takes place in the start of November, and for the telephonic interview do not give your Vodafone number. That's a personal suggestion, because you might face problem. Airtel works very well, but try to avoid Vodafone number. Then in telephonic interview you will be asked questions related to HR, like what are your qualities, and also safety issues was given importance in the telephonic interview and throughout the selection process, like whether you have taken some safety measures during your work, or have you followed any safety rules in your life somewhere, and how important is safety for you. So you can support your answer with instances from daily life, or maybe in a project work you have applied some safety mechanism or something like that. So that was a telephonic interview round, and these all rounds takes place in a rolling basis. So try to fill the form early, not extend it till the deadline. Try to fill the forms early, before 2-3 days of the deadline will be good. And after the second round, that is telephonic interview, there were online tests related to aptitude tests, like logical reasoning, verbal reasoning, data interpretation, and situational based questions. The tests were pretty easy, but CAD preparation will help, but it is not necessary. You can score well.
Have you people given Barclays test, online test? Barclays का होता है ना, maths and English, same thing.
Test was similar.
Same, almost the same questions as well.
तो PC रहता है, उनमें ज़्यादा मतलब difficult questions नहीं रहते हैं. But if you have a CAD preparation, तो speed बढ़ सकती है PC में. फिर after that, in the last phase, there was 2 interview rounds in the campus on the 1st of December. So first round was not pure technical, but it was a mixture of both HR and technical questions. Although you can expect a pure technical round as well, because some people faced a pure technical stress interviews. So in my interview first round, it was of around 30 to 40 minutes, and they asked me about my projects, my summer internships. Due weightage is given to the summer internship. So just present yourself very well, that what achievements you have made during your internships, all the datas and figures should be on your fingertips so that you can convince them that you are productive, you can produce results. They are looking for the people who can work in a different environment plus are productive. So that thing will matter a lot.